Linebacker TJ Alford from Port St. Lucie, Florida, is quickly becoming one of the most heated recruitments in the country. In this battle, it looks like it's coming down to two teams, Ohio State and Miami. We're going to break this one down for you in this video. I got Miami recruiting insider Stephen Wagner of CaneSport. We're also going to talk about a few of the 5 stars that were in Coral Gables over the weekend, Big Junior Day. But first, Miami fans, do me a favor, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. Canes had a great class last cycle. Looking for more in 2025. We got you covered. Hit subscribe. All right, let's bring on Stephen Wagner. And Stephen, before we talk about this Ohio State-Miami battle that is brewing, let's talk about Junior Day. And that was over the weekend. Over 100 prospects down in Coral Gables for this event. Let's hit on a few of the big names, starting right here with DJ Pickett. Why not? The #1 safety in America just pared down his list to a top 5. Miami makes the cut, and now he's back in Coral Gables. What are you hearing coming out of this one?
Yeah, DJ Pickett's been a guy who's been a really, really hard guy to get a read on, just because kind of naturally he's such a quiet guy. He doesn't really like to tilt, or he doesn't really like to tip his hand aggressively one way or the other. It did seem like the visit went pretty well, and he was with his entire family in Coral Gables. He brought the whole squad with him. We saw them pull up 2 golf carts for pretty much everyone that accompanied him. It did seem, as I said, like the visit went pretty well. I think he's going to get back down to campus again at some point later this spring. It would not surprise me at all. However, Miami has struggled to get him down to campus consistently. That was something they had a really hard time doing last year. This is the first time that he's visited Miami, and gosh, I'd probably have to look up when his last visit was. But if Miami can get him back to campus again later this spring, I think that's really going to be the name of the game.
Yeah, and right now, DJ Pickett, obviously he's a national recruit. He's the #1 safety in America. But right now, I think if there's one team in the state of Florida that has a chance of keeping him in the state, it'd be Miami. But like you said, another visit in the spring is going to be crucial for that recruitment. All right, let's talk about another #1 player at his position, Zayden Walker, linebacker out of Georgia. He was in Coral Gables this weekend. Now, he's coming off another visit to FSU. Georgia also a team trending. What's your take on where Zayden Walker stands with Miami right now?
Man, I love the job that Miami's done with Zayden Walker. I don't love it quite as much as the job that that Georgia has done. However, I do think Miami is ahead of Florida State right now in this recruitment. Miami's coaching staff has made a really, really strong impression on Zayden. I think Mario Cristobal himself has done a really tremendous job with him. This is a guy who started taking visits to Miami last April. He was down in Miami for that big end of summer cookout that they had last July, and now he's back again for Junior Day. I think Miami is absolutely going to be a contender here, but as you said, Georgia's a team that's continued to trend, and I think the Canes are going to have a hard time battling with the Bulldogs.
We'll see. I mean, hey, don't doubt Derek Nicholson. We're about to talk about another linebacker target that he's on here in a second, so we'll get there. But first, I want to talk about Jamie French, coming fresh off that decommitment from Alabama, the #3 ranked wide receiver in America. He's been pretty open that his recruitment's open, so he was at Miami this weekend. Do the Canes have a shot at landing Jamie French off this decommitment?
Yeah, they absolutely do. Mario Cristobal and Kevin Beard went up to his school the other week, paid him an in-school visit. He has a lot of respect for both Mario Cristobal and Kevin Beard. Again, it seems like Miami is continuing to make a pretty good impression on him. The Canes didn't get as much one-on-one time with him this weekend as I think they would have liked. However, I would expect him to get back down to campus for a second unofficial visit at some point this spring. When that's going to be, I can't really tell you, but I do think that's going to happen.
All right, let's talk about this tight end that was on campus, because we know Miami needs tight ends and they need quality tight ends. But this weekend, Luka Gilbert from Cincinnati, Ohio, the #8 ranked tight end, good-looking prospect. He was down in Coral Gables. How much of a priority is he, and where do you think the Canes stand with him?
That is a major, major, major priority for Miami. And I can tell you that that's a name that we have continued to hear a lot of down here in Coral Gables. Miami is continuing to throw everything they have at him. He was down in Miami with his family this time, had a good opportunity to spend some one-on-one time with Cody Woodell, the tight ends coach down here. And it seems like this is going very, very well. He's from the state of Ohio, but he doesn't seem playing down in Coral Gables, playing so far away from home. I think that this is going to be a name that we are going to continue to hear a pretty good amount of moving forward. And it would not surprise me at all if he ends up taking an official visit to Miami this summer, just because of the way the Canes have been recruiting him and the way they've been prioritizing him. And there is a lot of good feedback from both Gilbert and his family about how Miami's doing.
Yeah, it seems like they got a pretty good inside track on him, at least this early in the cycle. So now let's turn our attention to that battle that we previewed at the beginning. TJ Alford, the number 9 ranked linebacker in the country. You know, it looked for much of the cycle like it was either going to be Florida or Miami, but now Ohio State is the team that's surging. TJ Alford was on campus this past weekend. How did it go?
Really, really, really well. But, man, it feels like this is coming down to a battle between linebacker coaches. Derek Nicholson, TJ Alford's primary recruiter for Miami. I mean, Alford just completely loves him. And Nicholson has made him a massive priority since last year. He's treated him like he's the number 1 linebacker in the country, and Alford says that every time that he meets with Derek Nicholson. He feels like Nicholson really does want him more than anyone else in America. He really, really likes Miami a lot. It also helps that his family's from Miami and his dad is a longtime Canes fan. However, Ryan Day and James Laurinaitis over at Ohio State have done an incredibly good job recruiting him. And they've been recruiting him just as hard as Miami has. It seems like every time Miami's able to generate a little bit of momentum, boom, Ohio State's right there. Right. So it feels like we've got a long way to go in this recruitment. And I asked him, so whenever you do eventually make your decision, do you think that you're going to go ahead and shut things down completely? And he said, well, I'm not going to shut things down completely, but it's going to be really, really hard for all but maybe like a couple of schools to get in contact with me, which, to me pretty much indicates that no matter who he commits to initially, there's still going to be a window. There's still going to be an opportunity for the other school to flip him. So we saw the success that Miami had, making a really big run and flipping a lot of really big names in the final month of the year before signing day last year. It wouldn't surprise me if Miami ends up having to do something similar again. Right now, I think the vibe is that Ohio State does have a slight lead for him. However, I do not count Miami out of this at all. And I think as long as you've got Derek Nicholson and Mario Cristobal on him and prioritizing the way that they're prioritizing him, Miami is 1,000% going to be in the mix.
Yeah, and we've seen some great Ohio State-Miami battles since Mario Cristobal's taken over, and Miami has won a lot of them, right? You got Mark Fletcher, Jordan Lyle. They flipped Justin Scott, the top defensive lineman on Ohio State's commit list. They beat them outright for Lightfoot, and now we got TJ. We don't need to mention Jeremiah Smith. Ohio State did win that battle, but now TJ Alford is the next one. So do you disagree with the recruiting prediction machine? Because right now it's showing Ohio State trending at 89%. Agree or disagree?
I think it's much, much closer than that. I do think Ohio State is probably the favorite right now. However, I do not think it's nearly as wide a gap as the recruiting prediction machine makes it seem. I would say it'd be more somewhere in the 55 to 60% to maybe 45 to 40% range in favor of Ohio State over Miami. However, as I said, I do think that this is going to be a recruiting battle that's going to come all the way down to the end regardless. Yeah. And I would be really, really, really surprised if he doesn't take official visits to both schools.
Okay. Well, then I have a feeling that this won't be the last time you and I talk TJ Alford recruitment, but it's the first time in the 2025 cycle. So Stephen Wagner of CaneSport, you guys had a massive weekend, a ton of great coverage over there. Go check it out right now. Thank you for taking the time to stop by the Inside Scoop today.
Anytime, Josh.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that content, be sure to subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We have a new page dedicated only to recruiting. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now.